What's going on, everybody? Cameron Kirkpatrick here with Trader University, and this week we're going to be going into Market Monday volume 2, right? Obviously, last week I did skip Market Monday just because I didn't really want to be repetitive because the market didn't really move a whole lot, stayed really consolidated. So this week we're going to be talking about what's been going on. So I'm going to start here with the US dollar, okay? And as you can see, for you guys that are new, US dollar is just DXY, okay? And first things first, obviously you can see on the weekly chart, we've been trending down for quite some time now. But the main thing to pay attention to here is that you do have major key levels that were broken this past week. Obviously you can see they were broken here, but no candles closed below it. And here you can see we did have a candle close. So a little bit more cleaner looking. And we are looking to come on down to around the 89 area and really even lower than that, I think. And if I zoom out here on the weekly, you'll be able to see why. That's really just the next major high. And honestly, you're going to notice this is really the whole area around 88, somewhere in there. So we have a ways to go for the US dollar to continue its decline. So US dollar outlook is weak for the week. But continuing forward, let's go ahead and jump in. I don't want to make this too long. We're just going to run through some technicals. Let's go look at USDJPY. All right, so we'll start with the dollar to the yen. And as you can see, we have our weekly levels already mapped on. It's extremely important to have your levels mapped on. If you don't, you will be lost. But either way, so the market has already opened. It is 9:30 p.m. I'm over here. I'm out in New York right now, actually. So I'm from Houston, so I'm used to Central Time. So I'm a little bit off on the times. But yeah, so it's 9:30 p.m. The market opened at 5 p.m. today. So market has been open for a little bit, and we didn't have too many big gaps or anything like that. I actually have traded a little bit today and made some nice profits. I've probably caught about 50 pips today alone, but that was actually here on USDJPY. But if you'll notice, looking at the daily chart, last week we broke weekly support. This was our old daily support level that we had drawn on. I don't know if you guys remember 2 weeks ago or whatever, we ended up actually breaking that level like I explained that we would. And this is our new low point that we are really paying attention to, right? And obviously I have it marked off as a red as the actual low, and you can see that it did break lows right now. So what I'm looking at moving forward here on USDJPY, for the rest of the week, I am looking to see more downside targets. Honestly, downside targets are 109. Your first target's going to be around here at 110, all right? Just because 110 is going to be a very psychological level. And for those of you guys that are involved with Trader University, you understand these psychological levels. But yeah, so very psyched out level. But overall, next target, we're going from weekly support. Next area is monthly support down here. However, if for whatever reason the US dollar rebounds for whatever reason, and it does kick back above this area and closes candles up here on the daily chart, just understand that it is going to pull back to weekly support, which is now resistance. I need to change my label, around 112, and then it will drop in continuation lower down to monthly support. So do be careful when trading this week, early in the week. Don't prejudge the market. Let the market show you where it's going to go, and make sure you trade with momentum, not against it. So even if this does pull back here, my advice, do not buy this pair. Don't buy it. Just remember the US dollar is extremely weak, so there's no reason to, bet that it's going to gain. But like I said, if it pulls back, it will pull back to 112 area, 111.7 in between there, somewhere in there, that general area, and then it will drop back down to monthly support, I do believe. So that's my outlook on USDJPY, and once again, I'm just going to run through this really quick, so if I was too quick, I'm sorry. But let's go to USDCAD, okay? And let me get rid of this fib, and this, actually, I'm going to leave the trend line. Actually, I'm going to do it real quick. So all the levels are drawn on here on USDCAD. Last week, we did get a pretty gnarly pullback to a very hardcore supply zone, which you can see right there. Okay, so there's your supply zone, which acted as resistance for this pair. It did reject, and now we are just going to expect new lows to be made. So overall, obviously you can see we are sitting on monthly support, so we do need a clean break of this level. But really more so than anything is what I'm paying attention to here is this 1 hour, 2 hour trend line somewhere in here. And you can see that we get a trend line just like that. And you see we do get a clean break. So once again, this has every right to pull back and retest this market. So don't be overly expectant if it doesn't. And then I'll push lower down to my next target for this pair is actually going to be weekly support down here. Okay, 1.225 area is where I do believe this is going to go. So to take a short position right now isn't a bad idea, but overall, just make sure that you're being very careful with your entries and all that good stuff. You don't want to jump in too early and get caught in a scary situation. But yeah, so USDCAD, we should see lower downside targets. One thing that you can do as well, just as a free little tip, if you take a fib retracement, so you have move A being right here to move B, and you pull there, you'll see that it gives you your Fibonacci extension levels, right? And you can see that 1.27 is your first level. So really, realistically, that could be your first downside target, which you're going to notice is around 1.23 area. Okay, 1.23 is right here. Let me actually mark it off. 1.23. So that's the first take profit right there. Really, first take profit should be right in here at the low. Second take profit here, so we'll just call it the second, and then third at weekly support. But I do believe that you're going to see downside targets all the way down to weekly support. It's just about being patient. Remember, guys, I don't know about y'all, but I would rather take 3 or 4 super solid trades throughout the entire week that I sit on and patient with, and I catch the maximum amount of pips and value out of that position as possible, compared to just scaling 20-30 pips and risking more to try to gain more. When you think about it, it makes sense to play the long game. But either way, that's the outlook here on USD CAD. Just another dollar decline is all we're expecting there. Let me back out to the daily level really quick, just to give you guys any last things to look out for. And nothing really crazy. Just make sure that we get a clean break of this whole area here, 1.245 area, anywhere in there, which is currently where we're at. And you should see more downside targets. Just pay attention to that 2-hour trend line, and you should be all right. But that's USD CAD. We went over USDJPY, USD CAD. GBPJPY, let's go look at that. So I'm going to get rid of this really quick. Obviously, last week, you can see we had a resistance trend line here. And we also had, let me show you guys on the daily, we had obviously this is point A here. This was super perfect setup. And once again, if you are a student of mine, you understand these types of setups and how simple they really are. Didn't do that. And then this was point C here. So you have point A, point B, and then you have, Jesus, I cannot do this without a mouse, I'm sorry, point C. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and delete that just so it's out of the way. But let's go down to the 4-hour. So actually the 2-hour. So this was actually a perfect setup. You can see we did squeeze ourselves out, got a moving average crossover, and then boom, off to the moon she went. You can see, however, if we go to the 4-hour chart, you'll notice some very key daily resistance levels that were broken, and obviously resisted as well. So if I back this out, you can see them. So we did reject off of the 153 area, 152.8, and based off this area of old resistance, now support. I do believe you're going to see further incline of this pair. So I believe you're going to see maybe a pullback to here at worst before you see it push up and out and up into monthly resistance up here at 154. So just to keep it very simple, I do think GBPJPY pound yen is going to continue to stay bullish. This market is just continuing to make higher highs and higher lows, so keep that in mind. And just obviously we made a higher low right here, so next obviously higher high. Just trade with the trend, trade with momentum. Obviously you guys know that's how I like to trade. So very brief on GBPJPY. Let's go to AUDUSD, and I'm just gonna stay here for just a second because really I gave this 2 weeks ago around this area for a buy. No, I'm sorry. This area. After weekly support, we broke. And I gave this for a buy, and currently it is still floating before it hits the take profit. I said targets at monthly resistance at 0.80, and that is just still being held. I don't see any reason to get in this trade at all for a buy or a sell where it's at. There's no reason. So for me, AUDUSD is off the map this week. So I just wanted to show you guys that very briefly. At least until we get above 0.80, right? Let's see, USDJPY, USDCAD. What other pairs? EURUSD. So really, last week was pretty gnarly for the US dollar, right? Obviously, we had a big sell-off on the US dollar, and EURUSD just continuing to make higher highs, right? If we got to the monthly, I don't have EURUSD marked up just because I really don't trade EURUSD a whole lot. But yeah, honestly, EURUSD, I continue to see it go higher and higher. The only thing, I don't have my monthly levels marked off on this, and really I don't feel like marking them off just for the sake of time on this video, because for me to mark off my monthly and weekly key levels, support and resistance levels, takes some decent amount of time. So I want to keep this video pretty short and just give you guys brief outlooks, right? USD CAD, we did that. USDCHF. I don't want to mess the USDCHF. I don't trade that. That's really kind of it. EURUJPY. Oh, whoops, my bad. So EURUJPY. Let's see what we got going on over here. All right, let's go to the day. And I don't have my monthly key levels marked off here either. And just because of that, I'm going to move off of this one too. Really, we're going to go ahead and cut it off there, honestly. I don't want to keep this video too long. And on top of that, it's one of my personal rules that I do not even begin to think about entering a given trade at all unless if I have my monthly and weekly key levels drawn on, because if you don't have them drawn on, is what happens is you get yourself into a position and then you run into resistance and you have no clue that you're trading into resistance or a key level. And for those of you guys that are my students, you know that trading into actual physical key levels are one thing you just don't do. So I'm just gonna say that just for the sake of this video, like I said, we're going to leave all these other pairs that I don't have marked up alone. And maybe midweek or something, I'll go through a video where I show you guys how a brief explanation of how I like to do my markups and all that extra good stuff. But if you have questions, by all means, reach out to me. And I'll explain whatever it is that you need explained, how I like to do things and all that good stuff. But yeah, so just very briefly, US dollar, just understand it's bullish this week, but don't get caught up in a closed-minded, theory of the US dollar is just going to fall just because it's making new lows on the DXY, which for those of you guys that don't know, DXY is as simple as the dollar index. So just don't get caught up in a crappy position and marry a trade just because you think it's going to go down, because this thing has every right to pull back as far as it wants to. But yeah, just pay attention to the DXY this week. And I guess moving forward, once again, we'll briefly go over this USDJPY. USDJPY is, Jesus. There we go. USDJPY, just looking for continuation to the downside here. Targets are 110 and then 109. Okay. AUD/USD targets 0.80 and then really making even higher highs, because you'll notice, let's go to the week very briefly, this is just trend continuation, higher highs, higher lows, right? So I do believe you will see higher highs, and that's going to be weekly resistance at this area here, 0.82, somewhere in there. Okay, so Aussie, US dollar, higher. Euro USD, same thing, higher highs, just continuation. But don't get caught up in an overextended market, and also understand that the market can do whatever it wants. So don't forget, pull your trend lines around, be careful, all that good stuff. What else did I go over? Oh yeah, GBPJPY. Also, I do believe it is a bullish pair, but expect a pullback. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. That's going to cover it for Market Monday. Maybe what I'll do is I'll do another video this week that's educational based, and I'll actually do a little bit more teaching kind of stuff on that video. I would actually like some feedback if you guys don't mind. Shoot some feedback over to me. Let me know how you liked this video, if it helps you at all. And also give me a suggestion of what type of educational video you would like to see me do this week. And by all means, I'll make one based off of, the best kind of like need out there in the market. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and sign off, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into the YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, share it with your friends, and let me know what type of feedback, how I can make this better, and all that other good stuff. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and I'll catch you guys later. Thank you.